Okay, that's Mike in Indiana. Joining us from Capitol Hill, Senator Gary Peters, Democrat from Michigan. He is a member of the Joint Economic Committee. Member, good morning, sir.
Well, good morning to you.
As we've heard that many Democrats, if not all, will not support this bill. Will you be one of them?
As it's written right now, I won't be supporting it. We'll see if it changes. To be able to support a thoughtful tax reform bill. That's not what we have right now, but I want to work on a bipartisan basis. That's why 17 or 16 of my colleagues joined me in talking about how we'd love to work in bipartisan and get to a place that helps the economy, helps middle-class families, but we're not there yet.
Specifically, what changes would you like to see?
Well, one, you can't have a tax bill that just loaded all for folks at the very top. The folks in the top 1%, folks who are the wealthiest folks in this country get the vast majority of all the tax breaks. I'm a believer that tax policy works in the economy if you grow from the middle out, and that means middle-class families. You put more money in middle-class families' pockets, that creates a stronger economy, not a trickle-down approach that simply has failed time and time again. We're just back to trickle-down economics, which we know is a failure. Let's grow the economy from the middle class. That's my view.
Yeah, we had Senator Kennedy just on previously. He talked about what he would see as far as this, if it was passed. He said growth would happen, and that if that growth happens, then the tax bill would be paid for.
Well, yeah, I think that would be hard to see that happen given the way it's structured right now. We see that when you give all the tax breaks to the wealthiest folks, that does not translate into increased consumer spending. When you're looking at the corporate tax break as well, in fact, in my Joint Economic Committee yesterday, we had Chair Yellen, and I raised to her the question, does this lead immediately to investment? She says the economic links are very weak. And then when you look at what CEOs are going to do, to me, this is the most compelling thing. We should just listen to corporate executives, what they're saying they will do with this tax break. And they're saying they're going to do share buybacks. They're going to be paying money back to shareholders. They're going to be buying their own shares, which inflates their share prices, which is great news if you're a shareholder or if you hold stock options. And I asked Chair Yellen, do share buybacks help the economy? Does that increase wages? And she said, absolutely not. Share buybacks do not do that. And yet that's what we see executives telling us they're going to do with the money. This is not thoughtful process. This is not thoughtful tax policy looking for fairness and for efficiency and simplicity. It simply is not in this bill. What's
the long-term debt and deficit picture under this bill in your estimation?
Well, we know some of the numbers that are out so far are $1.5 trillion. We'll see what other reports come out. There may be some dynamic scoring, but you got to look at what's the methodology of that. But I think every economist agrees you're talking about a large increase in the federal deficit. So folks need to realize that very wealthy folks are going to do well. If you're a shareholder, you're likely to do well because of stock buybacks from the corporation, but you're not going to see an increase in wages. And if you're making $50,000 a year or somewhere in that range, you may get a $100 tax benefit, maybe. A recent report came out, said that about 40% of people are actually going to see a tax increase with this bill. And in the process, we're going to leave a huge deficit for our children and grandchildren. You know, it's amazing to me, my Republican colleagues like to say that they're fiscal conservatives. You can't be a fiscal conservative and run up a $1.5 trillion deficit that our children and grandchildren are paying for just so you can have a giveaway for folks who are extremely wealthy. It makes no sense. It's not good tax policy. It's not about driving the future of our economy where we grow it from the middle out and make sure we empower middle-class families to be the engine of growth in this economy, which is what we need.
Senator Peters, you also serve on the Armed Services Committee and the Homeland Security Committee. Can I ask you about your thoughts on North Korea and what faces the United States, particularly in light of that recent test of theirs?
Well, it's obviously very troubling what's happening. North Korea is definitely on a path to be able to create a missile that's going to reach the homeland, which is absolutely unacceptable. We can't tolerate that. But what we need to do is have a full-court diplomatic effort in order to stop North Korea, and that means engaging the Chinese more. The Chinese have made some positive moves to do that. They have to do a whole lot more. But the Trump administration needs to engage this diplomatic effort. And quite frankly, President Trump has to stop some of these crazy tweets that he puts out. That does not help the situation. He needs to be an adult. He needs to be the commander-in-chief of the world's most powerful military, and he needs to act like it, and that means engaging diplomacy.
What methods of deterrent do we have? Should a missile be launched to the United States, and how should that be upped in light of the recent test?
Well, we do have missile defense systems now in place. I'm currently a co-sponsor on a bill, and I'm working for language to increase our ground-based interceptor systems, hopefully putting one in the Midwest, in addition to the ones we have now in California and Alaska. So I think we can deal with the missile threat. We can intercept it. We need to expand that interceptor capability, which I fully support. But we need to focus on diplomacy first and foremost right now while we continue to develop our missile defense system.
Senator Gary Peters, Democrat of Michigan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.